From Seed to Pine Tree, Following the Life Cycle by Suzanne Slade, illustrated by Jeff Yesh. From Seed to Pine Tree, Following the Life Cycle by Suzanne Slade, illustrated by Jeff Yesh. Beautiful pines. Pine trees are known for their long, thin leaves called needles. Pine trees are evergreens, so their needles stay green year-round. These beautiful trees are found in forests, parks, and maybe even your yard. More than 150 different kinds of trees belong to the pine family. They all have the same basic life cycle. Let's look at the life cycle of the shortleaf pine tree. States with shortleaf pine trees. In the United States, the shortleaf pine tree is found in 22 states. It grows as far south and west as Texas, throughout the eastern part of the country, and as far north as New York. A small seed. A towering pine tree begins life as a tiny brown seed. The winged seed is protected inside a closed pine cone. In fall, the pine cone opens. The wind carries the winged seed to the ground. This small seed starts to germinate, or sprout, when temperatures rise in spring. A seed also needs water and air to begin growing. A seed has nutrients, or food, inside itself to help it grow. It uses this food until the plant is big enough to make its own. A seedling sprouts. When a seed begins to sprout, the tough outer coat of a seed opens. Soon, tiny roots grow downward into the ground. They take in water and hold the seed in place. Soon, a green shoot sprouts upward toward the bright sunlight. Next, green needles grow from the shoot. The seed has become a young tree called a seedling. 1. Seed opens. 2. Roots grow. 3. Shoot sprouts. 4. Needles grow. Seedling. Many shortleaf pine seedlings die before they are a year old. Sometimes this happens because seedlings do not get enough water. Other seedlings are eaten by hungry insects. Often, too many seeds fall in a small area. There may not be enough nutrients for all of them to survive. Growing tall. A seedling needs air, sunlight, and water to grow. It uses these things to make food in its needles. This process is called photosynthesis. A shortleaf pine seedling becomes a sapling when it is 3 years old. A sapling has a strong woody trunk and looks like its parent tree. During photosynthesis, pine trees make a gas called oxygen in their long needles. People and animals need oxygen to live. Oxygen, sunlight, and air. Water. A mighty pine. A sapling grows taller each year until it becomes a mighty pine tree. When a shortleaf pine tree is 20 years old, it will be about 60 feet, 18 meters, tall. Most full-grown shortleaf pine trees reach a height of 100 feet, 31 meters. That's about as tall as a 10-story building. In fall, some of the shortleaf pine tree's needles turn brown and fall off. Other needles stay green all winter. That's why it is called an evergreen tree. In spring, a pine tree grows new needles on the tips of its branches. 10 stories. Flowers called pine cones. When a shortleaf pine tree is 20 years old, it grows special flowers in the spring. The flowers are called pine cones. Some pine cones are male and others are female. New male pine cones are smaller than female pine cones. The long, thin male pine cones are yellow or green. New female pine cones are green. New male pine cones. New female pine cones. The thick scales on the female pine cones later turn brown and hard. The male pine cones also turn brown as time goes on. Mature male pine cones. Mature female pine cones. Male shortleaf pine cones are about 0.5 to 2 inches, 1.3 to 5 centimeters long. Female shortleaf pine cones are about 1 to 3.8 inches, 2.5 to 9.7 centimeters long. Making new seeds. Male pine cones make a yellow dust called pollen. The wind blows some of this pollen onto the open scales of the female pine cones. Soon, the female scales close, trapping the pollen inside. When the pollen fertilizes the eggs inside of a female pine cone, new pine tree seeds start to form. Female pine cones can be fertilized by male pine cones on the same tree. Flying free. When the new seeds are fully grown, the scales on a female pine cone open. In late October, these wing seeds begin falling to the ground. The long wing helps the seed float away from the shade of its parent tree. The seed needs plenty of sunlight to grow. Some female pine cones, such as those found on the jack pine and lodgepole pine trees, need heat to open. Forest fires create enough heat to open these pine cones and allow their seeds to fall out. Most adult shortleaf pine trees are cut down for lumber when they are about 35 years old. It's hard to find a shortleaf pine tree that is more than 100 years old. However, a 314-year-old shortleaf pine was discovered in Arkansas not long ago. The cycle begins again. After a long winter, pine tree seeds sprout in spring. In time, they grow into tall adult trees. These mighty pines provide homes for animals. Their long green branches give shade to hikers and campers on sunny days. During its life cycle, the shortleaf pine tree makes our world a more beautiful place to live. Life cycle of a shortleaf pine tree. 1. Seed, 2 to 5 years. 2. Seedling, 5 to 10 years. 3. Sapling, 10 to 25 years. 4. Mature tree, 25 to 150 plus years.